Grace and peace to you. You'll forgive the wire in my ear. It's just that it records better this way, and I'm at home because Chip and Daryl are doing a deep clean of the offices, and so it seemed like this would be the best way to communicate with you in a timely fashion. You may have noticed that none of us leading worship these past few Sundays has done more than offer caution and a few prayers about how to face these anxious times. And I have to tell you, you're right. My own practice for these past few weeks has been to observe an abundance of caution and to help our lay leadership to make decisions in our congregations and our wider community's best interest. I've sat down with other religious leaders live through a variety of live and live stream platforms to discuss ways to make sure that our life in our faith communities goes on undaunted and unabated. I've been learning through trial and error the ins and outs of video production and audio production so that all of us might still feel connected with God and with each other. It's been my central purpose to assure that we are not prevented from maintaining our organizational integrity and even our outreach. I am a pragmatist at heart, and pragmatism has been my primary mode of operation. To keep on keeping on, and to assure you by this that our institution is going to be okay, that we will get through this moment, that our congregation may even be stronger for having endured it. Still, there's something of a proverbial elephant in our virtual room that we've been shifting ourselves around but never really acknowledging. You see, I had this conversation with some staff members yesterday about how we're all experiencing a lack of sleep, dreams that indicate just really profound levels of stress in us, and something like that twitchiness that comes with spring fever, only worse as we ride out this time of isolation and quarantine. We are well past the equinox. Our anxieties are high. Our families' anxieties are high. Our friends' anxieties are high. We've been told the next couple of weeks will include a spike in the rates of infection and death that baffle the imagination. And though it may not be as severe as past epidemics like the flu in 1918 and 1919, or the smallpox that obliterated entire Native American communities during the time of colonization, not one of us will be unaffected by the loss of life. It is not out of the question that we will have loved ones or others in our spheres of acquaintance who will have died by COVID-19. How do we remain dauntless in the face of such a threat? I'll be honest, I'm not sure that we do. My faith tells me, however, that answering anxiety with fear and hiding, responding to intimidation with paralysis, will not accomplish the high goal of love to which we are bound by our Creator, our Redeemer, our Sustainer. That said, following medical and scientific advice by remaining sheltered in place is not the same as fear and hiding. Isolation and quarantine is not paralysis. Exercising caution and following protocols we've been given are reasonable and proper measures for us to do. But we really must not give in to fear. A while back in one worship setting, I mentioned the popular understanding that there are 365 occasions in the Bible in which something like the words, "Be not afraid," are spoken. The sentiment is that there is one such saying for every day of the year. The command is not repeated that often, I observe, but "be not afraid" or something like it is repeated around half that many times. And it's a simple project just to repeat the reminder every 6 months. It becomes a year if we do it twice. We can use that kind of encouragement, can't we? Why is that admonition, "fear not," repeated so often in our scriptures? The only conclusion I can draw is that the anxiety making us so restless now was even more common in the days when the Bible's books were written 4,000, 2,000 years ago. You know that we have enjoyed ourselves a privilege of ease and contentment that our spiritual ancestors did not. Thanks to so many innovations of medicine and hygiene and expectations of civility and loving kindness, our world is very different than theirs was. I would go further. You know as well that there are entire communities, entire strata of human society, in fact, who have before this time experienced anxious pains, like those that beset us and trouble our sleep now and interrupt our daily routines. People living in poverty, people living as refugees, people whose physical existence is threatened or curtailed by persistent perils every day, and people enduring mental illness or addiction. All of them know exactly this kind of dread. How might my next interpersonal encounter harm me, we wonder now. And we do it with them. I also consider that the threats we have named, the ways in which people do harm one another, deserve to be taken seriously and treated seriously, including exposing each other unnecessarily and unintentionally to infection with COVID-19. To take these anxieties seriously will be to acknowledge our own unsuspected privilege. We must be courageous about this. Our God insists on it. For those who are experiencing fear and anxiety, that courage will most likely come by facing our certain vulnerabilities, but not surrendering to them. We're being told over and over again how we can limit the spread of this virus, and we must follow those rules. Stay home, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds at a time. If you must go out, then maintain a distance of 6 feet between yourself and others, and disinfect when you return. For those who are resentful of the abundance of caution being required of us by this moment in history, who don't see what all this fuss is about, or who are frustrated by the curtailing of our accustomed freedoms, to you I say, practice the wisdom and courage of humility. Acknowledge that there are at least a few people out there who know more than you do about what's best for you and your neighbor in this moment, and learn how a new commandment is repeated so often by Jesus of Nazareth that it easily equals the command to be fearless. His command? Love one another. Love one another is only best accomplished when we put our own desires and attitudes aside and consider the care of others foremost. We are living in a challenging time. We will endure this fearsome time. As the apostle said, God's grace is sufficient for us. Love for God and for one another has been the bedrock of faith for so many before us, and it will be our firm foundation as well. It will. So, follow the rules. Exercise a measure of an abundance of caution. Keep safe. Keep well. May blessings abound for you, and peace be upon you.